As clerk of the board, I will open the meeting. And the first order of business on the agenda tonight will be the reorganization of the board.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to make a motion at this time that you be the chairman. Seeing as how you're sitting in the seat right there, no sense in moving.
I'll second that motion.
And make Mr. Ward the clerk.
I'll second that.
Why don't you keep each one
Separate?
separate?
I made the motion, Mr. Coyne be the chairman, and Mr. Ward would be the clerk. And at the same time, I wish Mr. Champagne all the luck in the world and welcome him to the board.
We'll have a vote on the first motion that James E. Coyne be appointed elected chairman for the year. A roll call on all the votes, Mary, from here in, please. Roll calls on all the votes. Start.
You want me to say it?
I don't care who says it. Whatever. You're recording.
I know. Mr. Bates,
I made the motion. Shall I vote for it?
Michael.
Mike,
Aye.
Randall, Mr.
Aye.
McNair,
Aye.
Mr.
Yeah,
Ritchie,
all right.
unanimous. The vote to have Michael Ward as
Now we got
clerk.
another motion coming up.
I already made the motion. I vote yes. Are you voting? I do.
Mr. Coyne,
Go ahead, Mr.
Yes, I vote yes. Yes.
John? Aye. Yes. We have a second on that, John.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
did
was
second
already
it.
seconded.
All in favor? Was unanimous, Mary. Michael Ward, elected clerk of the board. Peter. The next order of business is the acceptance of the meeting, of the minutes of the meeting of the last meeting, which was held on Wednesday evening, May 1st, 1991. I think where it's probably short, and it's to the point, why don't we read it through? For Michael. Or you want to accept it? Bob, you haven't read it before, have you?
I read it prior to the meeting. Of course,
You
I
want to hold
wasn't-
it off for a week and look it over again, or what?
No, I'm satisfied.
Huh?
I wasn't here at the meeting,
I
so
know
I
it. Well, you don't-
can't comment on it.
You want, John, maybe you want to look it over? and put it
No,
off
I
next
read
week?
it, Jim.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we dispense with the reading of the minutes, and we hold off on accepting them until we have a chance to digest them. I haven't had a chance to read them.
All right. Motion's made and call.
I'll second that.
Second. Motion's made by Mr. McNamara and seconded by Mr. Ward that the meetings of the previous meeting be held off to the next meeting, so that the board can get a chance to read it over. All in favor of that motion? Aye. Aye. Unanimous vote. Next order of business is the Ron Harrington, another application for a Class 2 used car license, dealer's license at 627 High Street. Would you please come up, Ron, and sit so we can talk on the mic there?
You
For a-
have copies of the application there.
Yeah, for a used car application, license at 627 High Street. Everybody have a copy?
We want to stop the application.
Yeah.
Try to talk.
Then the top is packed too.
Hmm?
Try
Right
to
on
talk.
the top,
Yeah, we'll find out.
no, on the top.
I got it.
This is an application, the name of the concern would be the Cloud Motors, and they're looking for a business address of 627 High Street in Clinton. The co-partnership, and it lists several names, Leonard M. Salvi, is that the way you pronounce it? Salvi, 650 Lancaster Road, Leominster, Mass., and a Ronald Don Harrington of 90 Windhaven Road, Leominster, Mass. And they're looking for a used car dealer's license at 627 High Street. Ron, would you tell me where 6720 High Street is exactly? Explain the whole thing to the board, please, starting off with the address.
Okay, it's 627 High Street, it's down there by the Fuller Field, right across the street.
The old gauge label.
And Dairy Queen's right down the street from it. And what we plan to do is basically sell these cars out of there. With frontage that we have there, we have a possibility of a maximum of 5 automobiles in the front. Probably only have 4, with the possibility of having 3 to 4 inside. So there's one office inside that would come down. And, because there's 2 offices in there, we only need a small one. Now, we haven't accepted a lease on this yet pending the approval of this license. If the license is approved, then we will go sign a lease with the parties involved. We've already talked to the people that have the property. And they already know what the condition is.
You running another one of these anymore right now?
No, retired military. And I did this part-time throughout my military career. Before my military career, I was not a lot of retirement.
Mr. Chairman, a couple questions.
Go ahead, Bob.
That, if I'm not mistaken, that's the location for Devaney Associates was located, where they sold the packing and shipping supplies?
Gauge, the old gauge label place.
Right, okay.
I think that's where it is, isn't it?
Yes, sir. It's right directly across the street. In fact, it's just going down the hill.
Corner of Boynton Street.
Yeah.
Corner Point,
Yeah.
right.
Gage.
Yeah,
Now-
gauge.
I think Mary
If I'm not mistaken, I think there's only room for about 3 cars out in front there, and you got
Well,
that
they
bank,
got,
right?
you got 3 up there in the front area, and then you got that loading dock area. You can park a couple more.
How far would they be off the sidewalk?
Front bumpers will be right to the side. That's what the rear bumper. We could, we could even cut it less, because we are planning on using a displayer inside the building.
That'd be the thing, if you could keep all the cars inside.
Well, we'd probably put a couple out front anyway. Let people know we're there, what we're there for. But we could park in such a way, so the parking bumper to
Yeah,
the
right.
building, we could park in an angle. Should be more-
Questions? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Michael?
just again, what was the total number of vehicles you'd be looking for?
Well, we were planning on a maximum of 4 out front, but Mr. Bates talked in there, and we can cut that back and then put,
But in the whole license, I mean, you're talking
The
out
whole
front,
license?
inside, back, I mean,
I'd probably say a maximum of 6 cars.
do you know, I don't have a map here, with our new zoning regulations that went into effect last year, if this land has been zoned for this, for a used car license, so.
According to what the rear system told us, it is.
It's zoned commercial, but we don't know if it's sold for a used car license.
Just
There
give
is
me
a
one.
used, Mr. Ward, there is a used car license adjacent to the full field.
Right across the
Yeah.
street.
Lauren Almeida's son and daughter,
Einheim or something, isn't
Amron. That's, sorry, not
Not
Lauren
more,
Almeida.
Adolf right now.
it? Amron.
Eric
yeah.
Amron, not Lauren.
Yeah, the realtor that we're dealing with, who has the property up for rent, assures us that it does have his own.
Well, I'd like to, just to run it by the planning board, just to make sure, I mean, again, with all our applications, we, keep it consistent.
Are you under a deadline to sign a lease down there or anything?
Well, I told him I would get back tomorrow with the realtor and let him know something was going on sometime tomorrow. I didn't know what this meeting involved or anything like that. I don't know if it would be a direct approval, or if there'd be more waiting time or what.
Previous boards have just granted, well, checking into the legalities and all that kind of stuff. We'd like to probably, like Mike said, run it by the planning board and, if there's any reservations, we'll have, a chance to take it under advisement. But I don't see any problem with it. It's just that, like Mike said, I would think that it's zone general use, but I don't want to swear to it because we don't have the zone map in front of us. Because you do have some commercial operations down there. You have a gas station, you have a Dairy Queen.
There's also an auto repair.
Auto repair.
Yeah. I'm not saying that I have a problem with it, just wanted to check
Oh,
all.
I understand.
all-
No, that's
check
no
it
problem.
out.
I understand it. Now also let us know.
Sure. You don't want to.
Like I say, the leasing bid is all pending on this, and I'll go to the realtor tomorrow and say, look into it.
Sure.
We'll be back in touch with us in a couple of days on that.
The only thing is we meet on a weekly basis, sir. We have to take we wouldn't be able to give you an answer until next week. Vote on it, tonight.
And an official vote.
Mr. Frio is the zoning inspector. He could take a look at it. He could probably advise us.
We could make a motion on that, effect, John, that,
Yeah.
if he cleared with the building inspector as far as it being properly zoned, we could make a motion to approve his license with that stipulation. You want to make it all right with you?
Do we have his recommendation on the number of vehicles too there?
I think we
Seems
should
awful
definitely
crowded.
limit them to 3 outside.
Yeah, looks crowded.
And if you could get,
Well,
how many do you
if
think you
keeps
get inside there?
3 inside.
If I can get 3, maybe 4 inside.
Oh,
If we're not gonna have office, it'll still be all right.
Yeah.
Because there is a window area there, that's not a big window area.
Well, I would, Mr. Chairman, if there's no more questions, I would make a motion to approve the application in front of us with the following stipulations, that he does check with the town building inspector regarding the proper zoning, and that if it is zoned for that use, that you would be limited to 3 vehicles, 3 saleable vehicles outside. They have to be in saleable condition, not,
Oh, yeah.
and then 3 indoors, so a total of 6.
I'll second that motion with the understanding that Mr. Frio looks at it, gives us the okay.
Motion's made and seconded. Motion by Mr. McNamara, seconded by Mr. Bates, with the stipulation to go to the building inspector and 3 vehicles inside.
Yeah, maximum of 6 vehicles, 3
6
inside,
vehicles,
3 out.
3 vehicles outside.
Okay.
Mr. Bates?
I vote aye, sir.
Mr. Ward?
All right,
Aye.
I vote no, Mary. I will state my reason. I think the town is cluttered with too many of them. I think it's in a bad area, and I don't think there's really any room around there for that type of an operation. I vote on that. I vote no on that reason. Motion carries, Mary, that he go to Mr. Friel and back next Wednesday night, probably. I would say we'd have all the information here by Wednesday night next week.
Okay, am I supposed to, let me get this straight, am I supposed to go to Mr. Field?
No, Mr. Montorio contact.
Oh, okay.
The executive secretary will take care of that. You come back here Wednesday night. You want him back, Richie, here, or we're gonna call him, or what?
No, most of made already.
No, that's
Yeah.
why I made the stipulation rather than hold the
Yeah.
gentleman up.
All right. You can call during the week and talk with the secretary.
Next week.
First one next week?
Yeah, you'll get the information.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, if everything goes all right, I wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
You don't?
All right. Question, comments, and observations from the general public. Anybody here have any questions from the general public? No questions from the general public. Executive Secretary Richard Monturi will bring us up on correspondence, invoices, and so forth.
Packet of information tonight, the board just received it tonight, so what I would like to do, there's several items in here that need to be acted on, but the remainder of the packet, I'd like the board to take it for a week, take it for everything next week, so we can review. Mr. Champagne, the norm for the meetings are Mondays, you have a packet delivered to you. It gives you a couple of days to go through it, because the agenda closes at 12 o'clock on Mondays, and then after that, I know what's going to be on the agenda, what information to date the board needs to see. Packet sent to your house and gives you a couple of days to look through it. If you have any questions, you can get in touch with me. Tonight's packet, depending on the correspondence, if it's light, sometimes the packet doesn't come till Wednesday night, but you usually put it off for another week. In this case, I'd like the board to review some of the information. There's a lot of general information. Bring the package back and we can go into it in detail. But if I can go to the correspondence that is important, that needs to be addressed. There's a letter about the middle of your packet from the fire chief. Dated May 6, 1991. This letter and the next letter from the police chief will be acted on. Do you want to read them both?
Fire department first. Honorable Board of Selectmen, I'll abbreviate some of these letters. Overtime transfer. I would like to inform you that the overtime account is again nearing depreciation. We have approximately $1,000 left in this account. Expenses incurred over this past weekend amount to nearly $1,700. This is an urgent request in order to make the next payroll. I request the following transfers. Line item in the overtime account. From firefighters' wages into overtime, $2,125.60. Call firefighters' wages to overtime, $1,333.33. Firefighters' holiday pay to overtime, $1,607.78. And sick day buyback to overtime, $120.96. Total to overtime, $5,187.67. There will be approximately $1,000 left in the fire incentive pay to be transferred after the first week in June. This will be all that can be transferred except for a small amount of captain's acting and captain's salaries, which will not be available till the end of June. At any rate, this will not be enough to carry us through the fiscal year. If you have any questions, please feel free to call upon me. Respectfully, Richard Hart, Chief of the Fire Department.
This transfer request is a normal transfer request from departments. The money's in their line items. The fire chief asked that this be taken up until we can pay overtime that departments incurring. And the contract stipulates a certain amount of time that he has to pay the overtime.
Mr. Chairman, can someone answer a question? This money comes out of wage account and holiday pay and sick buyback. Does that mean somehow, somewhere along the line, this money has to get back to those accounts too?
No, there's a surplus in these accounts due to the 2 firefighters positions that have been vacant until recently. Okay. All the accounts that are transferred, whether it's in this letter or actually any transfer that comes in from the department, surpluses in the account.
What happens after June 1st on some of these departments? In reference to running out of money here.
Either have to get a finance committee transfer, reserve fund transfer. Finance committee does not have any money in their account. They will be unpaid bills.
Right. So if we have a special town meeting, we're going back to more money, right?
It'll be a special town meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this transfer, seeing as it's interdepartment transfer, or in-house transfer for the fire department, because these are overtime wages which need to be paid and for work that is going to be done or has been done. But I would request of the board to have our fire chief in to discuss the situation in depth, because as he states here, he's not going to have enough to do until the end of June. And, you know, where are we going to get the money? I think we need to have a man and discuss the situation and, you know, try to grab a hold of what's happening.
I agree with Mike on this, because we notified some of these people early. We know they've run into some problems. This department, now I'm not picking this one out, I mean with others too, they're going to have the same problem. But they're going to run out of money, and we're going to be up against the wall on it. And you know what our other problems are with money too. And what I'm trying to say is, you know, these people got to get paid. I'm not questioning this one, but he's cleaned out almost. He admits this, and I want to see others too. But this is our problem, and you know, we've called the chief in, we sent him a letter, and we were going to ask him these questions, and there was questions that why we called him in, and it was a big howdy-doody about it. I mean, you know, it's easy to sit out there and lambaste everybody around here for this and that, but, you know, people should come in and, you know, open meetings. We have open meetings. Everybody's invited in here. Everybody, any questions, we're told we don't have open meetings. We've had too many town meetings. We had one last year and we had one this year. We had 13 people come this year. The first time in the history of the town of Clinton that we've held many town meetings. And everybody says the selectmen weren't open. They weren't open about it. Well, I don't want to get into anybody. I don't want to fight with anybody on the board about it. But we had a lot of meetings, and we've had 4 members here who was criticized, who probably attended every meeting. And there were some people here that never attended any meetings.
That's me, Jim.
I understand that.
Don't be afraid, say it.
I mean, I was very disturbed about the whole thing. Why should we take the heat for the whole thing when we didn't even have the same ones who were out there criticizing us were the ones who weren't in here?
I didn't criticize you.
Well, you put it in the paper.
Who put it in the paper? Now,
Well,
whoa,
somebody
whoa,
put it in
slow
the
down
paper.
now.
You were quoted for it,
I was quoted for what?
to say that the 4 members did it, and I walked out when they were meeting in the secret. There was no secret meetings. Let me
didn't
get
say it
that
was a
straight
secret
before we start
meeting.
the year off here. There was no secret meetings.
I never said there was a secret meeting.
Hey, we go back, we can look at the absentee. We know who was here and who wasn't. Every minute that's here, it's recorded.
That's
Who was here and who
absolutely right.
wasn't here. How anybody can go out of here and say, them four, it was always them 4 that was getting it.
I never said anything about it.
Well, somebody said it.
Well-
You were quoted in the Telegram and Gazette as saying it. I have a copy of it right in my folder there. I
said-
hate to argue with anybody. I don't want to
Jimmy,
argue with
there's
you,
no
John. I've
argument.
known you all my life,
That's
and I
right.
think you're a great guy. But I don't want anybody giving me the business. I attended a lot of meetings. We're here till 12, 1 o'clock some nights. We come back on Saturday mornings, we came back here. We went through $14 million worth of bills. We met with the finance committee. We met with the police and the fire union, the DPW. We had grievances. 4 people. So we take the heat for the thing. I took the heat for the thing. When I read that paper, I was disgusted. I was almost ready to say, hey, that's the thanks you get.
Well, Jimmy,
And I don't think it was fair to anybody.
well, I certainly didn't intend to miss the meetings. I
Well-
missed them because of my leg. I couldn't help it.
Hey,
I wouldn't have gone.
I have
along
a
with it
bad
anyway.
leg too, but, I mean, and I have a lot of bad problems,
You
but I'm
don't
here.
have a leg. I got one, and
Well-
it's aching me. That's the difference.
Well, headaches too, but,
I know, Jim,
but I mean,
And I, believe me, I am to blame for not being here. It's
well,
not,
that, and these
I'll take
people
the
picked
blame.
up this stuff and they ran letter boxes on it, Mr. Coin this, and Mr. Coin that,
well,
Mr.
that
Ward
wasn't
that.
good. I didn't do it.
And this one and that one, and it got out of control, and I didn't like that. I mean, if it was all directed to a candidate, it was election time, I know everybody gets kind of heated up and this and that, but I didn't like some of it, and I stand on my record, that's all I know. I'm present here, the minute says I was here, I voted on that or I didn't vote on that. And it's a hard thing to do, and we may be called us 5 now, we're here, and we're gonna be back there called again. I bet dollars to donuts right now that we're gonna make some more cuts, and somebody's gonna have to face up to them. So let's get together here and try to work together here and see if we can get this thing straightened out. It's for everybody's benefit, the people,
I agree.
everybody's here elected equally, and let's cut the baloney out on the side, that's what I'm mad about. I'm glad I got it off my chest, it bothered me for a week.
Well, I'm glad you feel better.
Well, I may not, I'm tired of that stuff.
Well, I didn't do anything. I really didn't. I don't go along with a lot of it, but I should have been here to say so. I wasn't.
People say that I wasn't here, I was here. and
You were
I
here,
know
you
the
were
others
there,
here
no
too.
question.
And that's what I,
Selectman's office.
I made a motion on the floor to approve this.
Yeah, I'll second
I
it.
second. That's on the fire department. Motion made and seconded. Motion by Mr. Ward, seconded by Mr. Bates, that the total of $5,187.67 be transferred to the overtime account. And that's made up of $2,125.60 from the firefighters' wages, $1,333.33 from the fire wages, all firemen wages, firefighter holiday time, $1,607.78, sick day buybacks, $120.96. All in favor?
Right.
Opposed?
I abstain.
4-0, Mary. One abstention.
Your initials on that.
The next one we have is the police department. Everybody got that one? Honorable Board of Selectmen, Town Hall, Clinton, 01510, account number 01210-5131, police overtime. Board members, the police overtime account is now depleted. I estimate that $6,600 will be needed to complete the fiscal year. I am requesting that your board transfer the amount from account number 01210-5113, patrolman salary. Sincerely, Mark Lovinger, Chief of Police. Questions?
Again, it's the same situation.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we grant this request.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made by,
Under discussion,
discussion.
I don't want to get this off on a bad start, but maybe somebody else should second that. Mr. Champagne, you might be in conflict on this matter. You know, where your son is employed by the police department, he does receive overtime funds, he might have some money coming, so if you would try your second, I'll second the motion.
All right,
That's a good point, very
we'll
nice.
change that then. That motion is made by John Bates and will be seconded by Mr. McLaren. Motion made by Mr. Bates and seconded by Mr. McNamara that the sum of $6,600 be transferred to the patrolman salary account, the police overtime account. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Champagne abstained, the votes 4-0 in favor.
Initial that also. correspondence, the last three pieces of correspondence.
Richard, excuse me a minute, before you leave the police. On the back side of that is the close of the monthly report of the police department. Is that all? Is there more to or what?
No, that's a copy of his last report, just to show they mentioned it previously.
All right.
So it's nothing that was just brought up.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept this last report.
Actually, John, I think you already did that meeting before.
You did it before?
That
The
was
new
brought up.
report for this, the previous month is in your package. You should take
All
over
right.
and review it next week and discuss it.
All right.
The last three pieces of
Bring that other
correspondence.
one up next week, the one that's in the packet.
The last three pieces of correspondence in your packet, the one starting with the meeting on May 9th at 7:30, Fort Devon's Airport Steering Committee. Just so the board knows that there was a meeting May 9th at 7:30 in the Purdon Room at the Atlantic Union College Library. The meeting will include reports on meetings and contacts with other groups concerning the Fort Devon's Airport proposal and plans for future actions. I know the board has attended previous meetings and been interested in this. Also, there's a letter from the local press concerning the 13th annual Clinton Tribute Road Race, which will be held at 1:30 on Saturday, May 11th. Yeah, I thought I'd read that. Should read that one.
Board of Selectmen, 242 Church Street, Clinton, Mass. Dear Board of Selectmen, the 13th Annual Clinton Tribute Road Race will take place at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, May 11th. This year's tribute is to the late Edward J. Connor Sr. and Dr. Francis O'Toole. The proceeds from the race benefit the Clinton High School Scholarship Fund. We want to take this opportunity to thank the Board of Selectmen for their continued support of the Clinton Tribute. Sincerely yours, Susan Westling, Race Coordinator, and William R. Marsh, Race Co-Director.
Boston Gas.
Boston Gas.
Next piece.
So we endorse that road race in any other sense of,
I think we should wish them luck and extend our congratulations to the people being honored, to their families.
make note of that, Mary, in the minutes of the meeting, that we fully endorse this and race in honor of Edward J. Connor Sr., who was a longtime teacher at Clinton High School, and Dr. Francis O'Toole, I doctor in the town of Clinton, both local men.
Certainly a good cause. I wish them well.
The next order of business is the Board of Selectmen Town Hall, Clinton Gentlemen. The Boston Gas Company of Leominster has recently completed a leak survey of the entire town of Clinton. We're requesting your permission to investigate the following location and evacuate where necessary to repair leaks. 296 Chestnut Street, repair a leak, and Chestnut and Street at the bridge. The openings will be approximately 5 by 5 and will be permanently serviced by the gas company.
Chairman,
These
I
Second. I was explaining to Bob what they were, the leaks in the road. We usually normally go along with them. They pass through the Department of Public Works with them, and we just okay them, and this goes to the Department of Public Works for inspection, and they fill them in. Motion by John Bates. Second? Second. Mr. Ward. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0, Mary, on the Boston Gas.
As far as the Packers is concerned, that's everything for next week. We'll go over in more detail. There are 3 letters that did come in today.
I have one here I thought we may act on tonight. To whom it may concern, I, Edward Arsenault, request transfer of the Class 2 dealer's license at number 94 license of 375 High Street, Clinton, Mass. to Gary Arsenault at the same address. That's his son.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I'll second that one.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. 5-0, Mary.
This,
The 3 letters that came in late this afternoon, that's the hand tonight. So you could read them to the board.
This is from the House of Representatives, May 8, 1991, Board of Selectmen, Town of Clinton, 42 Church Street, Clinton, Mass. Dear Board members, I am writing to request your cooperation in establishing a community meeting to discuss ways to address the recent and past violence which has taken place at the Lakeside Housing Complex in the town of Clinton. I believe that if the Board of Selectmen and Clinton Police Department meet with the Housing Authority and residents to listen to their concerns, there could be steps taken to see that people can live in safety. This meeting should be held as soon as possible at the Lakeside Housing Complex. I look forward to working together with you and the community resident to help the town of Clinton. Please do not hesitate to contact me with your suggestions or assistance you could provide in this matter. Very truly yours, William P. Constantino, Jr., State Reps. Letter Emily McNally, Clinton Housing Authority, and Chief Mark Lovitch of Clinton Police Department. Just want to read them in action on my moment. Second letter is from the Clinton Post 523 Veterans of Farm Works, Town Allen Street, Clinton, Mass. Board of Selectmen. Clinton Post number 523 Veterans of Farm Work requests permission to sell buddy poppies in the town of Clinton the week of May 20 through May 26, 1991. It's signed Raymond L. Joyce, Post Quartermaster Adjutant. I think we could act on this one, which is tonight.
Mr.
I'll
Chairman,
accept the motion on that.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman, that we accept that poppy date.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Bates and seconded by Mr. Ward that we grant permission to the local Post 523, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, to have their poppy day from May 20 through the May 26, 1991. Any questions? All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, there is a
Mary?
proclamation that should be signed by the board also concerning that day.
5-0 vote. And we'll sign the proclamation and
Publish it.
publish it, yeah. Read it offhand, it's very short. The VFW poppies are put together by disabled veterans. The Board of Selectmen Town of Clinton hereby urges citizens in this community to recognize the merits of this cause by contributing generously to its support to the purchase of buddy poppies on the day set aside for the distribution of these symbols of appreciation for the sacrifice of our honored dead. We urge all patriotic citizens to wear a buddy poppy as due evidence of our gratitude to the men of this country who have risked their lives in defense of the freedoms which we continue to enjoy as American citizens. All in favor of the proclamation?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0, Mary, on the proclamation. I'll start it off. Mike, do the work. That's fine. Next letter is the address to the Mr. Richard Monturi, Clinton Town Hall, Clinton, Mass. Dear Mr. Monturi, Congress of the United States House of Representatives. I am writing to invite you to participate in a formal town meeting which I am holding at the Old Timer Restaurant, 155 Church Street in Clinton on Sunday, May 19, 1991. The function will run from 10:30 a.m. till noon and is open to residents of Clinton, Lancaster, Lunenburg, Shirley, and West Boylston. This forum is the fourth in the series which I have scheduled this spring in various sections of the 3rd Massachusetts Congressional District. A complimentary continental breakfast will be available. I shall make brief remarks outlining recent events in Washington and important issues now pending before the Congress. The bulk of the meeting, however, will be a question and answer comment period during which concerned citizens are invited to pose questions or offer their own views on issues which they perceive as important. People of our district have a great job of insight and common sense. I hope that you will join with your neighbors on May 19th in sharing your views and concerns with me so that I can better reflect them in Washington. It is Sincerely, Joseph D. Early, member of Congress. I received one of these at home today.
I did too.
Yeah.
I know
I
one
think-
came in the mail from Mike.
Why don't we make a photostat of this one, give Bob a copy, but he probably hasn't got your name on the list.
I wasn't sure if you got it home. We did get one from Mike here, and I figured the others would be here sometime in the week, since you have a copy of that. And just a few more things. I've been receiving a phone call on behalf of a citizen in the South Meadow Road area complaining about the rifle range and the noise from the shooting, the times that the people were shooting, and disturbing the people that live in the area, and is also presenting danger. I talked to our insurance company, who provides us with our liability insurance. One of the companies that does insure us is going to probably drop us next year. We'll have to find some other company because of the rifle range and the hazards of the rifle range. The residents requested the board do something about this, if they could. And I told them that I bring it up to the board's attention. And I know we talked about it in the past. It might be wise to call the chief and find out exactly what the range is used for, who uses it, if it's regulated, if there are any rules and regulations concerning when it can be used, and how often they use it. So this citizen here, see that we are going to try to respect it. But the person's called several times, and he understood that with the budget process going on and other issues going on, that we'll wait till after town meeting to bring it up again.
Where is the resident who's complaining?
I don't exactly know what street it was on, I can address. The residents of both, one and that's
When the armory was over there, up to last year, we were paying a custodian to watch that place. I don't know.
Morbido, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
After
he
the
lived in-
neighbor gets done.
He lived out of town,
Yeah.
and now the army's closed, so he isn't over there at all anymore, so.
But, I think
Who's our custodian up there now?
Morbido, I guess.
It's a matter we should look into, because somebody got hurt up there.
I suggest we call the police, the chief in, call the chief in and ask if he can shed any light on it. I think it's a state facility, still listed as a state facility, the rifle range. The old Company G,
Yeah.
and it's all fixed up really nice. I mean, you'd be ashamed to lose it.
Well, I think one of the problems that they're having at the rifle range is people coming from all over the state as well as out of state to shoot up there.
Out of state.
And I don't think they're being restricted just to the rifle range. There were instances where they're shooting at, when we used to run the landfill, they used to shoot at our loader, and they shoot at the building that the MWRA presently houses their equipment, so it's not just restricted to the rifle range. I think that's where it's big danger.
Well, I know years ago, they shot the engine right out of a crusher up there. Shot the radiator right, bud? Shot the radiator right out. I ended up putting oatmeal and eggs in it to finish the job.
One of the fears I have is if some night they are shooting and a resident decides to go up there to stop them from shooting, that bullets are going to be spraying and no one's going to know where they're coming from. I think it's something that our insurance company's concerned about. We could try to regulate it or stop it one or the other.
This is the problem. We can't afford to lose any insurance companies. There are enough of problems, suits. Well,
I think John's idea, get the chief in.
when
for
could we
us,
schedule them? Yeah,
Fishing game and maybe find
Huh?
out who's
Next
using it.
week, if I can.
yeah, see if we can start the ball rolling on that and get that out of the way, see.
We talked on this matter 6 months back.
I know it.
Nothing was done on it.
Police department uses that rifle range a lot now.
Yeah, right.
We have no problem with them using it, because they'll use it in the proper hours. We got people up there at 5:30 and 6 in the morning. I doubt if that's our police
Even
officers.
late at night, you come up from my house.
That's right, I can hear it too. They used to be up in the quarry.
Where is this?
Behind the old dump, to the right of the old dump.
Out-of-state people coming in there?
I,
As I was told.
They'd
out of
be
state.
arrested.
Yeah, but you gotta catch them, Louis, somebody's gotta be
I
around
mean, you
there.
know,
They wouldn't have a
Bartley
license,
Fox
would they?
Law.
It's like when Gates comes down from New Hampshire.
Bartley
to
Fox
meetings,
Law.
he's got a test on his car in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Why don't we,
Your father's day.
Richie, why
Might
don't
have been
you
me that was up there.
send a letter to Mark, call him and get him over here next week and see what we can start the ball rolling and then see what we can work out something or can we post it or anything with that? That won't help.
The chief, when I talked to him briefly about it, said he'd check with other towns, see how they function, like, get us some background information, when it comes in, we can go over all that. Any information I get prior to the meeting, I'll get to the board.
How big a piece of land is it?
I don't know,
About
Acre?
2.5 acres.
I was gonna say we had some old fencing or something, but that wouldn't have, that wouldn't be,
You shoot the lock off if it's that type of people.
Yeah.
It's a shame that a certain few can ruin it for dedicated guys that love to shoot. And there's a lot of pleasure derived out of shooting. And I've never refused anybody to shoot in any land that I had any connection with, as long as they cleaned it up. And I've had very little trouble, except after, well, a few of them were in there shooting machines up and stuff, but that's not the average shooter. If you know who's in there, they watch it for you. And it's pretty hard to discourage. If they're gonna go, they're gonna shoot somewhere, so. I think it can be corrected. If we get the police in here and, it's very easy to, the first shot, they call the police, they'll find who's in there. Because they're not just shooting one shot, they're up there to shoot, so. If they don't want to abide by the rules, then they'll be chastised most severely for it. I think it can be worked out if we just get the chief in and talk to him.
Two other things, the town hall custodian requesting permission to purchase a lawnmower that he desperately need of. He has looked at a lawnmower, a few lawnmowers, and the one that he seems to like is down at Auctions, and it's a sit-down mower that also can be converted in the winter into a snow blower, which will assist him in doing the area around the police station as well as here. He does have a lot more to cut since he does the police station also. The mower will run approximately $2,000. He does have the money in his account. He's been asking me for the last 2 days. I can get the board to act on it so we can get the grass cut. Right now, we have a small hand-push mower that
had trouble with it.
he's had trouble with it.
Honestly,
Just
he
not
had trouble
feasible to
with
do
it last year.
the size area that he has. So he's requesting to purchase this mower, combination mower and snow blower. The snow blower will also help us because he usually hires people to shovel in the winter when we have a storm. With the snow blower, we'll need to do that.
And don't that, are you gonna put the snow blower on the stairs, Richie?
Well, no, he could do the stairs on his own and then do the sidewalks. Most of the kids do the sidewalks on the side and the front. And they stay there all day as the snow comes down.
Well, in as much as what I've seen of the janitor, the job he's done has been terrific. He's certainly done a good job, and I think if it's justified, if he can use it both ways, I'd be for it.
Is this for everything, the whole thing, blower and no blower?
Arbishon guarantees it and everything.
They repair it, just do it there.
I'd go along with that. He's certainly done a good job.
I have no qualms with the job he's doing, John, I have qualms with the price of it, $2,000, that's a lot of money.
True. Parks and Rec took care of that, they don't, at all?
They don't take care of the town hall.
No, they did it as a favor to him before. But I guess he's been doing it. He's been trying to do it on his own.
He's doing the police station too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Why don't you look around and see if you can do better than that?
Why didn't you come with like 3 proposals, Richie, give us an option?
He
I
did.
mean, we'd all
he
like to go out and buy the
check.
best thing,
I did have him check. I did have him check with, I have him with Billy Gilmore, because they buy lawnmowers from the cemetery
Yeah.
around, and I know they did check other places in Leominster, and they were all around.
Deals with that outfit.
Mandy's.
Schofield's, our equipment, the
Mandy's
place
handles,
around.
yeah, Mandy's handles snap, and that's a very good mower.
Yeah.
The only thing is most of them are push type, you know, they're they're automatic, they're power mowers, but you gotta push them.
2,000 is
Right,
cheap
the one
for a
that,
snow
the one that
blower.
Billy called up on and looked at, combination snow blower and lawnmower was $22.50.
Where was that one?
That was at Macy's. The one that we were looking at, right around $2,000.
There's no lawnmowers in town that can be shared by other departments or anything, or they just don't do it or don't consider it, or is that flack or what?
I don't know whether the other lawnmowers would turn into a snow blower.
Oh,
See, he's using a more versatile machine, apparently, right?
How come that outside work isn't put under the Parks and Recreation anyway?
What's that, what do you mean?
The snow removal and the grass cutting.
Where?
That's primarily what they do, isn't it?
Yeah,
Down here,
but
Louis, you mean, in this
not-
building? Kind of out of their way.
the janitor's always done this building. I don't know why, you got a good point for it.
One out of 5 stones.
Sure.
My own personal feeling. You know, there's like, Gravely makes a nice mower, it's, you know,
Yeah.
push, it has an attachment, you know, it doesn't have to be a rider. I just, the snow blower part of it bothers me more than anything.
Honda makes a nice one, but they're more money.
That's a lot of money.
Right.
Trying to cut costs and
Well,
stuff like that.
Let's not get tied up on it. Richie, why don't
Well,
you
you gotta get
talk
tied
to him and see what he can go out there and knock around and see what he can come up with some better prices. Look at-
It's a costly item.
Look at it both ways. Look at the single, just the more alone, and then the combination. Get something on both of them. He's got the money in the account that he can do it. He said he can pay for up to $2,000. See what you can gather for us with what he can gather. Ask Billy too to help him.
I know Bill's the one working on
If he buys, is there anything over in the cemetery that he could use?
it. Nothing, we'd asked that nothing that we could use that's free, but again, we can check on that. We check on the fact that some Parks and Rec help them out on loaning them also.
Yeah, if they can work together, it'll
I
be
know
fine.
that was one of the things we did when
Snow
we first took
blower.
over to help out. There was a lapse in custodian at the police station. And I don't know what problem we ran into.
Did they have a mower over there, or did they had no mower over there?
The person was a previous custodian practice.
They got any money they could kick in?
Shared responsibility would be the
That's what I
best
mean,
answer.
make it
Yeah.
easier, both to.
Sure would.
Look at that too, will you?
That'd be,
See, we'll go mutual here for a while.
The last thing was receiving complaints from Parks and Recreation concerning the newspaper boxes around town. Specifically, there's a newspaper box at the corner of the street, Church Street, right in front of Central Park, the corner that just appeared one day, and I don't recall a board or permission or Parks and Rec didn't get permission for these boxes to be put on town property. It seems to be appearing more and more on town property around
Who
town.
owns the boxes?
Yeah,
multi-enemy telegrams on throughout town. A lot of places they got them chained to a telephone utility pole, but there's also a lot of places where they have them chained to a stop sign, which I'm 100% against. And I brought this up, 2 or 3 weeks ago regarding these boxes, and I think we should follow up on it.
I mentioned it thoroughly to the item before, and Darius talked to him. But I'd like to send a letter together and send it.
As far as using our town property, I'd be against it, but if they're tied or chained to a utility pole, I think we should have them show us something in writing that they have the permission from the utility company or something, that they are allowed it. If they are allowed it, maybe we ought to start charging them a fee, but they are taking business away from the regular store owner that offers a paper for sale.
In the rural areas, I could understand the way out, but right around here in church.
They got them on stop signs,
No.
and then at least 4 or 5 places.
They should
But
be
as far as taking the business away from the stores, I prefer to buy mine out of one of those stop and put your money in and take it and get out.
So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, I prefer that rather than going in a store. I can go in a store down here and wait 15 minutes while somebody's buying a ticket and they want this, they want that and everything else. I'm only in there for a paper. I can get it out in a box. There's nothing wrong with quick service.
I have no problem, as long as they're not time, stop signs in town property.
Well, get them off there.
Out in the rural areas.
Some
I
kid
think-
drives a bike into them, we're gonna be the one that sue, not them.
But they're all over the state.
Oh, yeah, the convenience is there, I go along with the convenience, but at the same
Yeah.
time, let's protect our,
I'm not worried about these people in the stores down here.
protect our interests.
Their business, you know. If they're merchandisers, they'll make business.
Well, private property's fine, but not stop signs.
So,
Next door to Richie, what else then?
I just had a final point to the board now. Selectmen handbooks came in. National Association. Have one, John?
I do.
No, you won't have another one upstairs. I thought I gave you mine.
I know you did, and I gave it to, what's his name, and I never got it back.
Before you leave, I got it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
I appreciate
Mr. Chairman, I asked Mr. Matari a question last week, that we, a letter from St. Mary's School.
Yes.
They're checking out, they're going to see if they're going to follow week, Mary Ann Matera's
All right.
checking the deal for us.
So I knew they were looking at a date of May 29th, they were in concept with Don Shapiro or something.
I checked with her and she's here until 8 o'clock. So they said they'll probably rearrange it for
All right.
something.
Now, before we go any further, we got anything hanging out there that we could clean up before we start getting into our new budget or anything that's, we're still waiting on?
Picking up things that have been left out there as we go along. I'll be bringing them to the boards.
How about that fellow on the Berlin Road? Kujal?
He's cleaned that
The red
up.
rooster.
I
I
noticed
found it today.
a lot of it is all cleaned up.
It's cleaned up, it's still not good.
He came to me about it, he said he was gonna clean it up, pile it down, quite a bit.
No, that's a different story, different manager.
No.
Oh, the one, right.
The old Jenny.
Oh, the other one, yeah, that's cleaned up a little bit, yeah. Yeah, oh, I noticed that too,
That's
yeah.
what you meant, was it down the old Jennings
Yeah.
property?
Yeah.
Jennings, yeah.
That's
But the
the
other
one
guy
I
was in
noticed.
too on the other side.
That was Grant.
Yeah, Brent, he's,
I will, next week's meeting, I'll try to call the police chief and fire chief. Recommend it.
Oh, before you go on, I just want to say, Mr. Cardillo did a beautiful job down there cleaning up his backyard. You see it? He cleaned all the brush and everything. It looks terrific down there now. He made it look really good.
how about, Mr. Sherry from Worcester now, is he due this month or next month?
No, I hope to have him in next 2 weeks.
On the whole project?
Actually, if he can come in next week, let's get him in. Just cross him.
Mr. Chairman, I had a couple things, well, of course, on the investigation from the Recycle Commission, a couple of things there. When do I give that to Rich, or what's the
Yeah.
normal procedure?
Just, you can submit it to me, we'll give it to him now. I'll read it on. Remember the boards, I have a letter here from Robert Champagne, 20 Vineyard Avenue, Clinton, Mass. Board of Selectmen. Clinton Town Hall. Due to my election to Board of Selectmen on May 6, 91, I hereby submit this letter of resignation from the Clinton Recycling Commission effective immediately. Sincerely, Robert L. Champagne. I'll hand it to you. We're gonna put that on a later date. For one, I'd like to thank you for your services. I know it's been a lot of work over that
It's
last
been
year.
very gratifying. It's been I've learned an awful lot about recycling, and I think what I've learned, I've been able to transfer it to the town, and Pat McNamara is he's the vice chairman, and he'll be there taking charge now until they name and appoint elect a new chairman probably in the fall.
He's a good, hard-working kid. He'll do a good job.
There is a vacancy too, and the board already has a letter from one of the people that is interested in being on there, and I called to see if he was still interested, and he is. And I'd like to put in a nomination his name.
I think we have some other names here too. Don't we?
It's just,
We have names for other commissions and committees.
I thought we had one for recycling too that came in after the board was appointed. We not
I
filed.
can check, I have to file on.
Why don't we-
it's just the
we
one
have
you
a-
gave me. It was.
I think in fairness to the one that you know of and the one I think that we know of, why don't we put them together
It's the same person.
and then, did it?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
You gave me the letter.
Oh, did we?
Just to to be sure, Bob, I'll give us a week, because like I say, we have a bunch of stuff, a pile of stuff at home, and I'll be able to pick it right out. We were appointing the different boards and commissions. We had sought the public's, input, and, we were asking for their names, whoever was interested. And I just want to make sure that there isn't somebody else on it. They're very well proposed.
George Kittredge.
Okay.
He's a volunteer, he's just tremendous.
George the good man.
I just want to make sure that we do have, we're not slighting somebody that might have asked previously,
Right.
and we'll act on it.
That's why I look at it, I just want them all together so we can see who's who and where they're coming from. I know we had one anyway, that I remember, I didn't know who it was. And months and months, months. Anything else? Eric?
Chairman, the Board of Health is
Oh. Oh, after that.
Yeah.
Come in, Phil.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening. Come in. Got some chairs out there,
Well,
Tony?
this will only take 2 minutes.
Oh,
One minute. Okay, we reorganized. I'll be the chairman then. Buddy's the clerk. Tony's the member. There's Bobby Goodman, you guys know him. I don't know. On Ruby Road, or Fitch Road rather. We had received a letter from Rich Monterey explaining what he needed in order to take down that building, 201 Fitch Road. Okay? He sent a copy to Billy Gilmore. I don't know if you've seen that letter there. We feel this is all of the information you'll need. It covers the minutes of the meetings, the inspections from all the various departments, the discussions we've had with the people responsible for the property, our vote at our meeting to condemn the place and have it demolished. Okay? And there's a cover letter here.
when we left this last time, I thought that we were going to go ahead with it, and then there was a
That's
question
correct.
of him dying, and it went into public welfare, I'd say, more or less.
Well, we don't know. That we don't know. That's up to you people.
So we're going to move, you want to move on this without that approval, or
Well,
what?
that's up to you. What we're
The
recommending
only
to you.
thing wrong with
Okay?
that is that could sit there for 20 years.
This is the copy of all of our records, okay? And what I believe is Rich is going to get a hold of the Department of Revenue. I think I talked to Bernie Walsh about it. Bernie said he would look into if the Department of Revenue does in fact have a lien on the property. And he'd let Rich know, and you can work it from there.
Could go on for years, we could be all up the same time cemetery by then.
Well, we hope not.
Yeah, I hope
That's
not. I hope nobody's caught under it when it comes down.
I know it, I went by there a couple of weeks ago, and
I thought
did
of going
that.
out wind
I talked to
last storm.
Bernie the other day. He was
The
looking-
windows are hanging
Holding
down.
up the chimney right now. Brand new chimney, I think. It's all whole
And
roof.
it could go your way, because that's the
Yeah,
other
it's
side.
leaning that way.
The other side has got that addition
Yeah,
that
the
could
addition, that's
hold
holding
it,
it.
push it your way, yeah, I know that.
I can understand your concern. It shouldn't come down.
Yeah,
Question.
it's only getting worse,
This is all the records you need. I think if you
Yeah.
shoot it by town council, okay, there's a letter that's signed by all 3 members that explains everything, and you should be all set. We were all set, we had to go up until he passed away, and
Yeah, we were gonna move on that right then and there until he died.
Yeah, it's within a week of coming down.
okay,
Mr.
that's,
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we run it by town council and move it as expediently as possible, because it is a danger and a health hazard.
Fire hazard too.
Yeah, it's a very
More
good-
expedient than what has transpired over the last 6 or 8 months. I brought this to a head 8 months ago, here we are 8 months later.
It's ridiculous. It shouldn't
Well-
come down.
I think, John, we were ready to go, you know what happened, and
Yeah, that's nobody's fault right there.
the gentleman passed away, and then we took a different view on it, because we figured it had passed from there into the state, and then the problem was the state, and trying to get anything done with the state today is, I don't know if Tony works for them, but it's tough.
You got a folder in there that was asked for.
so there's a lot of work. Okay, but that has all of our copies and minutes of the meetings and everything else, where they've been certified, receipts and everything else. So you should be all set there. Just have the town council take a look at it. You guys can pick it up from there.
Definitely should come down, no question.
Oh, I've talked to the building inspector, I've talked to the fire chief. It has to
They
be
were
done.
over looking at it last Thursday when they said that, it's.
Bobby's broom wore down, sweeping up the
Yeah,
roof that
flipping out
falls
the
in the
nails
driveway.
and the shingles, and I mean, somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
It's just waiting for somebody to get hurt.
It was boarded up somewhat, now that's all pulled down.
Yeah,
Even
window,
windows are wide
glasses
open
are
again,
hanging.
everything's
Why,
wide.
just kids getting in there or somebody
They
getting?
have
Well,
a
they
light
can.
walk in, it's just wide
Anybody
open
can go
again.
in there.
I don't know who the hell it was.
We've ordered them to board it up and they've done it.
They might go in and go right down through
Yeah.
the floor. I mean, it's just, the
Well,
roof
as
is
John has
gone.
said, I don't know how long, well, I know it's been a long time, that thing has been hanging out there. And,
Well, not just that, but they're catching on fire, the block's house is probably gonna go with it.
Well, a few stumbling blocks we had, if I remember right, because I was checking up on it periodically. We needed documentation from the Board of Health. There was various meetings held regarding that issue, and we're just getting it now.
Now that we have it, I think, let's do something about it.
Joe, we'll take
Well,
this.
6 or 8 months ago, Bob.
Get it.
Okay, no, I just,
Give it.
you be going record on now, okay?
6 or 8 months ago.
Like Rich-
Give copies of all
We were-
this.
John,
Yeah, we have
John,
copies.
we were
That's-
trying to find out who was, if the
Selectmen's
state
copy.
had liens on it, that's what we've been holding us up there. We had no idea where it was in the nursing home. We were trying to find out our best.
Matter of fact, the family said they'd rather have you take it down because they can't afford to take it down.
Right.
Why, I imagine.
It's not that we threw it to the side and forgot about it, we've been working on it now since I've been on the
They
board.
were full cellar in the,
Is there-
It's a half full cellar and half crawl space with the additions right over there.
Okay? Thank
Fine
you.
with us?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Sorry you had to wait so long.
Hey, can't fight City Hall.
I didn't think of
Have fun trying it.
I meant to come in.
Mr. Chairman, before we close, I have a couple minutes of the time. Mr. Champagne, I welcome you aboard, and I'm looking forward to working with you next year, 2 years, anyways. I want to thank Mary Rose Dickow for her 6 years of unselfish service at Town of Clinton. It was a pleasure for me to serve with her over the past year. Now I'm going to go on. I'm going to read a public statement that I made, that I had prepared regarding some issues that were in the paper in the last couple of weeks. At this time, I would like to take a couple of minutes to address the townspeople with regards to a couple of newspaper articles published last week in both the Daily Item and the Worcester Telegram. Articles that have disturbed me greatly due to their one-sidedness and the unsubstantiated allegations regarding illegal and/or secret meetings. I find it highly unfortunate both a colleague of mine and another elected town official contributed to the contents of these newspaper articles in such a way as to try and damage not only my integrity, but that of my fellow selectmen, Mike Ward, Jim Coyne, and former chairperson Mary Rose Dickow. Comments made by these two officials would lead the average reader to believe that we were not only party to, but encouraged secret and/or illegal meetings to take place between these members of the Board of Selectmen. Statements made by these two individuals could be nothing further from the truth. But then again, that's what I've come to expect when either of these people make a public statement, or most any statement for that matter. In my one-year tenure as a selectman, I have never met with a majority of the board to deliberate town business in any place other than the selectman's office, town hall auditorium, town hall basement conference room, or in our administrative assistant's office, where we had to pre-gather on 2 occasions due to our regular meeting room being utilized by another group, and another time when a caucus of the voters was being held just outside our office. I will admit that I and other selectmen have stayed on in our office after adjourning our regular scheduled meetings in order to review vouchers submitted for payment, as well as the weekly warrant authorizing both the payment of town salaries and bills. This is a practice that has gone on for years, and there is nothing secretive or illegal about it, and it is a practice that I believe will continue to take place in the future. Many times while reviewing these vouchers and warrant, talk will be held among the members which is not deliberative in nature, but rather in a social or informal manner. Some town matters that have been either personal, sensitive, or delicate in nature have been addressed after some of our meetings, but only after voting to go into executive session before adjourning the public part of our meeting. And the records of our office will reflect that. I find it very ironic that the allegations made about myself and the other selectmen mentioned earlier were made by a person who has participated in many such secretive and illegal meetings prior to the expansion of the 5-person Board of Selectmen. I know of many instances where meetings, discussions, and what have you were held at his home, his place of business, out-of-town restaurants, and just plain old everyday parking lots. And that, my friends, is the real truth. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Anybody else have anything to say?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a comment. I'd like to thank Mira Rose Dicko for the years that she gave to this town, her 6 years as selectman, time that she put in, dedication to this town. I believe she did a good job, and she'll be missed on this board. And to congratulate Mr. Champagne to the board, and hope that we can all work together in the next year or two that's going to take to try to get through this mess. I also want to mention the fact of the issue Mr. McNamara just spoke about allegations of illegal meetings. I'd just like to go on record as saying that there has been no illegal meetings taking place by this Board of Selectmen. That we've been here on our posted meetings, that we've been here for our regular business on Wednesday nights, that we may stay after our agenda has been done to go through the warrant, and as Mr. McNamara said, maybe discuss socially or talk, but we're not here strategizing town business. We have met other than Wednesday nights to do budget and other matters, and I think we'll continue to meet other than Wednesday nights because there's a lot happening in this town. There's a lot of issues we need to deal with that all can't be done on one night. That being a selectman is going to take many hours and much dedication, and that these meetings that we have off of Wednesday nights are posted meetings, and that business is done according to the open meeting law. And I invite members of the press, members of the public to attend all the meetings we have, to stay here as long as this Board of Selectmen is here, as long as every member is here. If they want to stay, they're most welcome to listen to what we have to say, to whether we're discussing things socially, to whether we're in our regular meeting doing town business. The door is always open to the building, the door is always open to this office. And we always welcome any input from anyone that wants to come through that door, or anyone that just wants to come in and listen. And I was very frustrated and very upset that this article would come out alleging that we're here, up here, doing things behind closed doors, because it's not happening. And we need to come together as a town and come together as a Board of Selectmen to address many problems that we're going to have coming up. We may be looking to go back for more budget cuts once the state legislature has passed their local aid figures. And we can't be up here divided and different people saying things that aren't going on. And I hope that to the press, that any information that they get, I hope that they would check it out and get comments from all sides, and so that the townspeople will have fair information and the truth. And look forward to working with the new member as well as members that have been here for the past year. I've enjoyed this past year and hope that we can get the town back straight again in the next couple of years that we have here. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Michael, thanks. Thank you. One word to say, I said a little bit, I could go on for a couple hours, but I'm not going to. I would also like to take up that funny paper that was around town. I thought it was a mockery. I didn't think there was anything funny about it, especially with Mike Ward in the water with his hands up in the air. Michael is probably the junior of all of us here, being the youngest one, and he works in the State House in Boston. And I don't think anybody here realizes how much work he has done already to help the town on a real big problem, above budgets and everything, and that's that sewer infiltration plant down on High Street. And he has spent countless hours in Boston looking up stuff, talking with reps down there, gone to committee hearings and everything. And I, for one, would like to take a few minutes just to compliment on what he's done for the town in the last year. I think he's done a hell of a nice job.
I can attest to that, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, thank you. I want to back up what the rest of my board members have been doing here. That through all the problems that we've had in this past year, we've put in many, many hours, sometimes 4 nights a week we've been here. And I just want to thank the members. It's made it enjoyable for me, even when we're tired and frustrated, that working with these people up here, that it's always been a pleasure, and feeling that we're doing something good for the town and positive is carried me and carried us all through. Thank you.
Jim, Mr. Chairman, as part of this, I know I ran into it a lot of communication. I know you spoke about it many times during the past year about we've got to communicate more to the people. And I know I tried a while back to get the agenda posted in the paper. And is there some reason we can't get the agenda posted and the items for people? So if they
Well-
are interested in coming down and there's something there, they can see it,
I'll tell you what.
or watch it, or whatever.
I'm not going to get in an argument with the papers or anything, but that used to be published in the paper. There was an agenda made up like this and it was sent to the papers. Now, what the paper does and what the papers don't do, I mean, you know, we had a town meeting here, and I didn't even see that it was even mentioned in the paper the last few nights. The hours, so forth and so on, were published the day of the meeting. But some weeks the news is good, and other weeks you don't see any at all. But I mean, I don't know what policy is, because certain reporters come up and, you know, we stay late, and they have a deadline at 9:30, 10 o'clock, I think it is now, and they have to leave, and what transpires, you know. We did have a lot of late meetings, and why they weren't in, but we can bring it down there. There's no reason that we can't start it. I have no problem with that.
I think it's a good
But
idea.
it's a matter of it's going to be, I know it's a good idea, John, but it's a matter if it's going to be published every week. That's the problem.
You can't guarantee that.
Well, I can't guarantee
Can
that.
we talk to the editor and maybe find out if there's a reason or what their requirements are? Because we got to communicate with the people out there. They got to know what we're doing. And it's what they don't know that hurts what we're doing up here. And
Bob, I understand that. That is true. What they don't know hurts us too. And believe me, it hurt me because they didn't know what happened last year, what happened the last year too. That's what I went back to when I first came in, when I first mentioned this tonight. That hurt me because they didn't know. They were reading the paper, but the paper wasn't giving them the full truth, because nobody, as John stated, had gone out and checked it or anything. And you know, I put a lot of hours in it, and I'm not going to build myself up, but I figured it was my job, and I wasn't getting any more than anybody else. We're on an all equal level here, and we're trying to do the best for everybody. And I think we all ran for a purpose, to help. I ran for I thought my experience would help the town, and I still believe it. But when we go out there, I want people to know what's going on. I like to know who's here, who's making the decision, who's voting on everything, and not to say that them four down there. And you know, I don't go that. I don't like that.
let's give them another shot. Let's get the agendas down to the paper and let's see if they'll do it. And if they won't start with that, then let's talk to them. I mean,
We can
And we
make
can
up,
take
we
it a
know
step
our
at a
agenda
time.
by what, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday?
Monday
Huh?
Monday afternoon.
Monday afternoon? If we need a what, day? Yeah, we can see what we can do.
Mr. Chairman, another matter just came to mind. I wanted to mention this earlier, and with Bob. Bob, in fairness to myself and Judy and Mike, we walked into the same chair that you're walking into, or sat in the chair for the first time a year ago. Fresh off the street, you know, no political, no experience in town government, and we were submitted a budget that hadn't been approved yet. And it was like something like $800,000 out of balance, you know.
I remember.
And we had like 3 or 4 weeks to get that thing in balance, you know, and present it to a later town meeting. So we sat down and we come up with some fees that we raised that, of course, were very unpopular and still to this day are unpopular. And after we instituted a trash fee as well as increasing our water and sewer fees, we were able to realize $550,000 of the budget deficit. And that only left a couple $100,000 the finance committee had to go and recommend for cuts. I would invite you, seriously now, as a newly elected member, I would invite you, that I'll give you the same period that we had. I'll give you 3 weeks. I invite you to, in 3 weeks, you submit a realistic and sound proposal to me or to this board, and I would be more than happy to look at it and adopt and cut $550,000 from the town budget. As long as it's sound and realistic, I'd be more than happy to look at it, and I might even entertain a motion by you, and I might second it. just want to give you the 3 weeks that we had.
Well, I've never,
Take
this
that
is
right
something
out.
we have to do as a team here now.
No,
I'm not-
but Bob, I'm just saying, take the budget home, right, take the budget home, go through it. You know, I'm serious, you think I'm kidding, I'm not kidding, really, and if there's waste there, if there's duplication there, pick it out. We'll come back here in 3 weeks and say, here's where I can come up with $550,000.
No, it's just
Whether
a
it be
month, it will
layoffs,
take 3 years, and if I
You
can
know?
find some waste,
you know,
I'll let
whether,
everybody know too. But I mean, I'm not gonna take 3 weeks to try to go through this, to come up with any recommendations. It wouldn't be fair to the townspeople, it's not gonna be fair to anybody else.
we were criticized heavily for making increase in fees to bring a balanced budget to the townspeople.
We're talking a year ago,
Because it
when
was-
fees were raised to balance the budget, which I objected in the way fees being raised to balance the budget. And then when the finance committee decided that it was, well, too much by over 200,000, and then they restored that money to the budget, a lot of people thought the way I did. And that was a year ago. We're starting now fresh, and I want to look at these budgets as we go along. I want to review the expenses as we go along this year, and we'll see. I don't think we ought to wait till the end of the budget year before we start doing some things. If we find some things where we can save money during the year, I think we'll bring them up and do it at that time.
Okay.
All right? But
Thank you.
Selectman's office?
Questions? Any more? Mary, take that out, please. What did I do before?
Snide remarks.
I told you before, take it out the hook.
That's a thanks you get, Gail, for working on these jobs, or Debbie, I should say.
Mary has something for the board.
As of the 1st of May, all the taxi cab licenses and as of the 1st of May, all the taxi cab and private livery licenses are up for renewal. So I have here all the papers and the application and taxi cab inspection certificates from Gordon Salisbury, from Clinton Livery. He had all his cabs inspected over at the police station and has all the information and his insurance form here, so that it's all ready for the board's perusal to okay it if it's all right, and we can give him his licenses. You know, I'll have to contact some of the others.
Whatever happened to that Murphy license, they ever come up?
That's all, that was all approved.
They came up. Yeah.
We have others, I gotta contact them because the town meeting, I haven't had a chance, and they have to come in. One of them has, but I have to get more information from him. Chairman of the group. But the police chief has signed all those, approved them.
When is the expiration date?
It was May 1st, they come up for renewal. So all the others, now this is the first year that they've had to make out these new applications and then have the, each operator, each driver has to have one of those forms filled out and okayed by the police.
Those all the same ones, John? No.
Those are his drivers. Those are all for Gordon Salisbury.
Every one of them.
That's all Gordon's papers. He has 3 cabs.
What do you buy, Fitchburg, Leominster Street, where one? He's got
He
a,
has, he has three cabs.
They're all signed by the chief.
They've all been inspected by officers.
Gotta have every driver, yeah.
Every driver in every car.
Yeah, every
So that's-
driver has been okayed and the cab.
I'd say he has, how many, does he, what's this? Three.
Copy of the yellow one of the plan.
yeah, same thing. It's on a copy, this is like,
Some idea.
when is this effective, Terry?
this is our
May
plan.
1st,
May
they were
1st?
supposed to renew all their licenses.
Four drivers and 3 drivers.
Yeah. 4 drivers, 3 cars.
You want a signature on this somewhere?
I think there's a place.
I think we have to vote.
Just okay it, and then I'll make out the licenses for him tomorrow.
Need a motion, Mary? I make a motion, we renew the license application of Clinton Livery Service.
I'll second that.
Questions? Motion made and seconded, that we accept the, approve the license for the Clinton Livery Service. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Vote, Mary, 5-0.
Thank you.
Chairman signs it here somewhere. Mary, you put the dates in here?
Yes, I'll put all those.
Any more business?
The warrant this week. It's Champagne every week. There's a warrant that has to be signed. Every other week it's bills payable that all the town departments submit. They come in the vouchers, through vouchers, to the town accountant's office, to the board of selectmen on Wednesday night. And the selectmen sign computer sheets that the account prints out. As you look at the computer sheets, if there are expenses or vouchers you want to pull out, you can pull them out through the actual vouchers that are in the basket. They vary in numbers week to week, depending on if it's a light or heavy week of expenses. But that's every other week. Every week, you will have a payroll that comes through, and needs to be signed by the board of selectmen in order for the checks to be sent out for everyone. And that's what this week is, the payroll week. Also in the basket, you'll have the broken down sheets for the payrolls, as well as overtime slips for various departments who work overtime, signed by the department heads. Also, the town accountant puts in the basket once a month, the Board of Selectmen's office to have a copy of the expenditure report with all the expenditures for all the accounts in town. And I keep it on the top shelf in the file cabinet for the board to review at any time. And weekly, if the board needs one, she'll submit a expenditure report weekly for the board to review to see how town expenses are going. And the
When
board
they appear on that, that's after the check's been made, or is that after the voucher's been submitted?
But the,
Checks been made.
has been checks been made. If there are any problem with any vouchers and concerns about any expenses, you pull the voucher that morning, the checks will be held.
The whole amount. The check will be withdrawn.
And that's basically it.
Now,
Payroll
bills
is
are clear.
If you have any questions, you can go first. I'll be able to answer it. So the warrant has to sign. Also, the police chief has a finance committee reserve transfer that he would like looked at. And since the chief's going to come in next week, I'll have him discuss that with the board. Also, I'm meeting with the Joint Labor Management Commission, sending a representative on Friday concerning police department negotiations. Myself, and the board will be meeting. And there's a letter in the packet concerning the issues.
Selectman's office.
Inform the board of what the outcome of the meeting is next Wednesday night. Next Wednesday night, we can set aside some time to go into executive session to discuss overall collective bargaining. Do that also. Between now and then, I will get you copies of all the contracts and situate where we stand with each contract. Proposals, counter proposals, the history of what's taking place so far. I'll get you that before the weekend, so you can have a few more days to look at that.
When it comes to the police department, I can really just read and not discuss.
Right. And if there are any items you would like, or anything I can get you, just let me know.
Mr. Bates.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make one suggestion. As we do finish our agenda and move to the warrant, I would just suggest, as we normally do, to give cable or whoever the option to break down while we're doing the warrant to make things technically correct. I'd just like to ask if we could keep our meeting open. And if cable chooses, or reporters or the public chooses to leave, that's their option. But it would still keep our meeting open so we can discuss the warrant, and we'll officially adjourn after all the signatures have, necessary signatures have been made on the warrant. So I'd just like to make that suggestion to the board.
That's a good idea. Tonight is an easy night, though. There's no vouchers in the check.
Yeah.
Next week there'll be vouchers inside.
Yeah,
There'll be 200 vouchers there.
Spend an hour with that.
Hour and a
Go
half.
through them all, take an hour. That high.
We can't get them earlier, or
It's bi-weekly.
I would,
there's no chance to come down here like Tuesday night to look at them, or Tuesday?
Check with the counter.
Actually, the vouchers may be ready on Tuesday night, but the payroll doesn't get done actually till the end of the
No, I'm just talking about the vouchers.
You can check
That's
them on
what takes the
Tuesday.
time.
she'd have more.
if you come in early, the voucher should be available. The vouchers get submitted on Thursday, they process through the computer system, and checks are printed on Tuesday, so it should be available by Tuesday afternoon to look at. And sign at that time before. And again, if there are any questions, or any doubts on any of the vouchers, or the expense of the voucher, just pull the check will be held.
Just pull it out. If you want to hold it and look at it for any reason, bring it up. That'll hold the check, that cancels the check, that'll hold the check up, and they can issue the check later on if there's no question.
Mr. Chairman, one more thing, and probably on the road business side. I had discussed this, brought it up last year. Public swimming down
Seems
here.
like last year.
Well, we've had so many things, we've got to put things off and put, you know, you have to prioritize what you want to gear on. But with the warm weather fast approaching, the hot weather, we've got the National River Beach still closed, and I was wondering if this board would want to record, check with the Parks and Recreation as to their intentions of what they're going to do down here for the summer. And if they are going to keep it remain closed, as in past summers, we do something more than just that one sign that's down there.
I definitely agree. I think it's a major liability problem, and if we have to make a decision, if the town is no longer going to provide security and lifeguards down there, we may even have to consider giving it back to the MDC and let them take the liability. I think that's a good point.
Because, you know, as you well know, for the past summer, it's been heavily used, and it says that the last sentence on the sign says swim at your own risk. We're encouraging them to swim, but we're telling them at their own risk.
Right.
That would hold up in a quarter hour.
Right.
That'd be out the window in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
I mean, if we're gonna close it, let's close it properly.
right.
I mean, the state did come through with some funds to finally put the suicide fences up and stop them from diving here off the side of the bridge. And see how it's protected. I mean, I'd love to see the place open.
Sure, sure.
That'd be the better option, but if it's gonna remain closed, it should be closed properly. Rich, could you check with the Parks and Rec on that, please?
I know Daria's brought it up, and she's concerned also. Yeah, Director of Parks and Recreation, so I'll check with them before next week's meeting.
To get a vote from that committee down there and have them send us a letter to what they're going to do so we can move on it.
I'll ask that she brings up her vote to take action on, it. We'll have a formal letter to the board.
Thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
Everybody's silent?
I have one question.
Somebody have one. Go
No,
ahead. Go
all I
ahead.
wanted, I saw that you had a meeting with the Inspector General, and I wondered what happened.
They just said that they're still working on the report, and they hope to have something in a few weeks. They had requested some additional information, which Mr. Montori brought down, and they said they're going to review that, and hopefully within several weeks, they would have something for the town to work on. But they've been saying that for a year and a half now, so,
It is complicated,
yeah,
but I'm sure they'll get to the bottom.
yeah.
I see they want to do it at the office.
Yeah.
Anyone? Bob, any more?
No, I'm all set. Thanks.
Entertain a motion.
Been a pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that at 27 minutes to 9, we adjourn.
Mike could just throw a little 2-minute
Oh.
presentation about it.
We're going to start that?
Well, it's up to you guys, I don't care.
All right.
To me, I don't think it's ever been illegal for us to adjourn and go into this type of stuff. They've done it for probably 40, 50 years.
All right, go ahead.
But like Mike said, technically, if you want to, do the thing.
All right.
As long as
It's up to the
everybody
board,
knows
I
still
don't-
here doing it.
We'll go along with this then. I mean, it's going to take a long time. Some nights it'll be over an hour if you want to put the
Could-
time into it.
Could you say that the meeting of the business of the agenda is done and we are now signing the warrants?
I'll say that.
Yeah, sure.
All right. There's no further business except for,
This,
at this time, we would state that there'd be no further business except for signing of the warrants, the expense warrants. That's all we have here tonight. And we'll go through the warrants and we'll adjourn after that. Make the adjournment at the end of the